Celestiuk taking the bronze in the 1 meter. And here they are to start us off.
Yes, Ukraine, Margarita Dushova and Diana Celestiuk, who has a bronze already at 1 meter, get us underway with a straightforward inward dive.
With these straightforward dives, it is so important to have everything so precise.
Chusova is 16, Celestiuk 18 from last year. Good. Opening dive. Taping there for support on both of them. Great Britain diving second. Millie Fowler and Millie Hafferty. Millie Fowler on the right there. Hafferty, who's just 15. Both from Sheffield. Know each other well. Forward 1.5 somersault is their first offering.
Millie Hafferty, the diver closest to us now, actually has her 16th birthday today. So what a way to celebrate. They'll be hoping for a medal. That would be a pretty good birthday present.
Millie Fowler's was only a couple of days ago. Both 5'1", so really well matched. Another 46.80 there opening. Next to dive, it's Italy. Catalano, Gonzaga and Granelli. You could see straight away from this angle the different angles of the entry position of the legs there. One in, one out. More of a V between the two of them. .36.60. Modest synchronization, better than the half the execution. Poland represented by Dominika Bak and Kaja Scherschek.
Skurzak already had a good warm-up. She made it into the final for the 1 meter, finishing 8th. Now she gets the chance to compete again. This is a straight final in this synchronized 3 meter springboard.
Good synchronization marks. Decent start for them. Boric and Tomiek. Boric much taller at 5'7", Tomiek the smaller at 5'2".
Well, it didn't look like the height difference was an issue there.
Might take a couple of dives for the marks really to start to separate out. Good synchronization there in the 8s. 46.20. Germany, Saskia Oettinghaus and Luisa Stauczynski. The silver medalist on the right there, the fairer of the two.
Performing a forward dive in pike. As we keep saying, the first two dives are limited to a difficulty of 2.0.
Stauczynski is a very experienced competitor, even at 18. Their first European Junior Championships were back in 2011, and she won a gold in the younger age group on the platform. .45.60. Now the Swiss team, Bart and Kokus. They'd have a choice of 3 languages, of course, in Switzerland to do their counting. Might have had to have a discussion before they decided on one. Good straight entry. Too much wrong there.
They are happy with that. Good team fist bump over that 46.8.
Now, the Russians, Chernik and Polikova.
Polikova, already a gold medalist from the 1 meter. And her teammate, sorry, Polikova, the bronze medalist, her teammate, Netrasova, the gold medalist, who isn't competing in this synchronized event. Good start for the Russian pair, 48.6.
Now we're on to Austria. Rott and Staudenherz.
A less experienced team compared to some of the others. Staudenherz competed in the 1 meter, finishing 26th. And neither of these two have been in a final to date at these European Games. This being their first appearance.
Quite uneven, those marks. And finally, Belarus. Banzik and Sheshka.
Both of these athletes, the first time they've competed at the European Games. They haven't had the luxury of the 1 meter springboard to warm up with. That is their first dive of the competition.
25.60. Again, a lot of these marks will be pretty close because of the same degree of difficulty. As our first leaderboard, Russia not surprisingly at the top, but Ukraine matching them. Poland not far behind, then Great Britain, and you can see there's very little separating, only 2 points separating 8 teams. Italy falling behind already. Five rounds, remember. Ukraine, Kushova and Shelestchuk. Another dive worth 2.0, forward 1.5 somersault, cranks up after this round.
Shelestchuk will be carrying the confidence forwards from her bronze medal in the individual. Hopefully sharing that with Dusova. Great synchronization.
Fowler and Hafferty representing Great Britain. Everybody in the British team will have medal ambitions after the opening couple of days. They were 1.8 back. It's a lot for the judges to really get their teeth into when assessing these performances.
For Hafferty, this is her first event of these games. We saw Millie Fowler.
Look at that, I say, 3 9s. That's a real response. Catalano, Gonzaga and Granelli had an opening dive that was rather a level below the rest, so they've got a bit of catch-up to do here.
Well, they were more synchronized than their opening dive, that's for certain.
Much better. That will settle them down, I think. 3/8 in particular encouraging for the 2 Italian girls. Poland started off with a very nice opening dive. Now they've got a forward 1.5 somersault, 1 twist. Strapping out there.
Strapping is quite often as much preventative as it is curing. If there's a slight niggle or weakness, then the medical professionals will use it to stop anything getting that bit worse or turning into a real problem.
Well, it's good. 42. Boric and Tomiek from Croatia. They had a good start. Both from Zagreb, 18 and 16. So many great angles from our camera work here that we really do see every little chip in the armour.
It looks like the judges did too when it comes to synchronicity.
Just adjusting the tension on that board there. That was Ertinghaus, Stauczynski. They'll be looking to pull up a little, 45.60, but as I said, the opening marks fairly concentrated together.
Going all the way down to the bottom. Ertinghaus really went deep on that dive.
Creates synchronization and both exactly the same execution mark. Next up, Barth and Kokus from Switzerland. Quite light on the board there, not a massive knees bend and thrust up. It's the quality of the execution that held them back a little to 42. Russian Federation, again leading from the front, as they often tend to do. Have a slightly different approach down the board, but once they get into that hurdle, that last big jump on the board, they were pretty well together.
So after these dives, it will be round 3. But the difficulty starts to ramp up. We'll see the pairs stretching themselves.
Down 1. The British girls' belting second dive has lifted them to the top of the pile at the moment. Austria, Roth and Staudenherz.
Forward 1.5 somersault. The last dive of 2.0 difficulty, and then things will get tougher.
Okay, 40-80. Banchik and Sheshka from Belarus dive 10th. 7th in ranking. Back 1.5 somersault, half a twist.
When it comes to synchronization, you can sometimes even hear whether they're in time or not. And that's a little bit of a giveaway sometimes. They're not hitting the water at exactly the same time. You will notice it.
busy second round with these restricted dives, and Great Britain has launched itself up to the top of that leaderboard with that cracking 51-point dive, and Russia down a bit, Ukraine pressing hard, Germany, Poland tucked in behind. That's the race for the medals. Well, we've had the opening jabs in the first 2 rounds, the contestants getting a feel for the contest. Now they can start throwing the punches in round 3. The degree of difficulty ups. This is where the experience can come in, and the talent. 2.7 inward 2.5 somersault for the Ukrainian team, who were pressing in 3rd.
A lot of strapping on these athletes. The most strapping we're seeing in this final is across the shoulders and the back, taking a lot of strain, but these two even trying to synchronize their tape.
62.37. An average start, it was fine, but the second dive was terrific. 2.8 back, 2.5 somersault there. Routine, not as high tariffed as some, not as high tariffed as the Russians, so it's got to be good. Back 2.5 somersault then. As good as the previous one, that's for sure. Entries quite as tidy, and they dropped a bit there, 56.28.
There's still 2 dives left to go for the Ukrainians, the Brits. 3 for the rest of the field.
Italy up next, down in 10th. Catalano, Gonzaga and Granelli. (17 and 15 years of age. No great pedigree they bring into this European Games. Be quick through the spins in that inward 2.5 somersault, worth 2.7.
Just struggling to get the extension on the legs before completion of the entry. That'll affect the execution marks, and it does. Synchronization okay, total of 50.22.
Poland next to dive, back and Skrzek. Just 2.4 here, forward 2.5 somersault piked.
This is the lowest difficulty of 3rd dive we've seen so far, and it meant they really needed to get it just right, and it didn't quite happen. .4608. Synchronization down in the 6s.
Croatia. Bolic, Tomiek. The little and large act here. Forward 2.5 somersault. They're down in the 2.4s as well.
Synchronization better than execution, 50.4, their best score yet.
Now the German team have upped the stakes to 2.9. Ertinghaus and Stawczynski. One of their stronger efforts. They were down in 4th and looking to challenge, but that wasn't flawless by any means, not disastrous. Just a bit untidy on the entries. Still got 63.51 because of the extra tariff. Puts them above Great Britain. Balt and Kokus from Switzerland.
Well, it sounds like they've opted for French as their common language, this Swiss duo.
Not in unison about too much here. Dives themselves. Just see going a little bit offline there on the left. Trying to pull out and get a parallel entry. 56.70. Now, can the Russian team respond? Slipping back to 2nd, but Ukraine and Germany both putting on the pressure. Russia cannot let the pace drop. 3.0 for the back 2.5 somersault. Very quick. But was it clean?
Not the cleanest entry we've seen from the Russia pairing. And execution is a reflection of that. Synchronization much better though.
What a massive difference, 4 5s and then 8s. So you could still get a decent synchronization mark, even though the dives weren't of, well, they just weren't much cop, basically. Roth and Staudenherz of Austria. Not in the medal hunt. Trying to get those ponytails in sync. Must be a challenge.
There's one of the divers actually tucks her ponytail into her swimsuit. And that must just be a personal preference thing, wanting it flying out behind.
Execution marks not over grand. Just 10 contestants here. Competition really whizzes along compared to the long hauls of the preliminary rounds. Belarus completing our 3rd set of dives. Inward 2.5 somersault. They've only got a 2.7, a 2.8 and a 2.4 to end. Banchik is only 13, a real youngster.
Great experience for an athlete so young. If these European Games stay as a junior event, she'll still only be 17 when they come back around.
Roll on the right. Well, it keeps on changing, doesn't it? Ukraine now in the lead. Very close, 1.26. Great Britain right up there, less than a point. Russia now slipping down out of that medal position. Could change again, though. It's been very, very inconsistent.
Well, we're just past the halfway marker, but it's not really halfway as the dives get more difficult as we go on. That is when mistakes can happen.
Ukraine needed a good, clean dive there. Sova and Shelestchuk into first place, and maybe finding the pressure, the legs there really untidy through that dive. Untidy marks. Well, whoever can really string some regular dives together is going to be in a strong position. British girls have ended the round second, first and third, so are they the team that can hold it together? 2.8 for this reverse 2.5 somersault. Russia have all threes with their 3 chosen dives. Oh no, that's awful, that's absolutely gone. Oh, that is a total disaster for the British girls. Oh, he looks shocked.
What a frustrating way to drop right out of the competition. Here it happens. She just slips. Millie Hafty on the left-hand side. Couldn't find her legs. Fowler still going through the motion, but she will see at the corner of her eye that her teammate has got it all wrong. Absolutely devastation for Millie Hafty.
And it's technically a no dive. Failed to complete it, and that has blown it. Oh, what a heartbreaker for them. But they're thinking, I'm glad that wasn't us. Italy, Cantilano, Gonzaga and Granelli.
Well, both completing the dive, but not really anything that tidy. It just shows how the competition can open up and change so quickly.
Well, you can get that in any diving competition, but I think the last couple of days have shown that the younger divers are just that bit more vulnerable. Poland are down in 7th place, 2.7. Wasn't too great either, was it?
Inward 2.5 somersault. 2.7 on the degree of difficulty scale. Really challenging themselves in these latter stages of the synchro event.
Well, come up smiling, but it was very disappointing for them. Started off tidily, but now the dives are getting more challenging. Croatia, perhaps a little bit too far back to really profit on some of the other mistakes going on around them. 2.7 with this inward 2.5. Through the tucked position, the entry is just a bit awry as well.
Well, higher marks for synchronization. Execution, quite a low score.
Now, Germany. Oettinghaus and Stauczynski. Can somebody grab this competition by the scruff of the neck and put a series together? 2.8, reverse 2.5 somersault. The door is wide open for one team to step forward and take control.
And it looks like they are upping their game. Reverse 2.5 somersault. They are flying up through the rankings, 7th, 4th, 2nd before this dive. Can they take the opportunity to make up some spaces? They've seen some poor performances ahead of them.
Well, there was a 9 in there, but it got discounted, 67-20, and that has put them in a strong position. Lays down the challenge to the Russian team, who go next but one. However, can the Swiss profit, because the British girls completely messed up. Well, there was an opportunity there, but unfortunately the Swiss timing was right off.
Coach showing her frustration. Their synchronization is out and their execution isn't really doing much better.
Sometimes when things start to go wrong, 37.80 there, that's pretty wrong, then it almost spreads across the competition. So just got to stay in your own little world up there. Well, the Russian team may be thinking they got away with a poorish dive in the previous round, and now they can cash in. Well, it's 3.0 for that reverse 2.5 somersault. There was still some untidiness in there, but
they are the only team to put 3 dives of a 3.0 rating, really trying to optimize their chances as much as possible.
That might be what saves them, just the tariff of it all. 7.5s, poor execution as well. They're all struggling along here. Austria down in 10th place. 2.7 inward 2.5 somersault.
Well, the Austrians not making any huge errors, but you can just see their standard is a little bit off the pace when it comes to this final.
For 55.
4.0 and a 5.0 on execution.
Belarus, 6th. They don't have a massive tariff. They've got a 2.4 to finish. This 2.8 back 2.5 somersault is their banker dive in terms of the highest potential reward, if is proving a big word in this competition.
Well, that's one of the better dives we've seen on this dramatic fourth, this penultimate round.
Belarus, 7.96. 13-year-old and a 17-year-old. Let's have a look at this leaderboard. Germany standing in the lead. Russia back up into the medal frame. Ukraine hanging on. Belarus have moved up in behind. All change again at the top, but crashing out and right down to the bottom of the stack. Great Britain with that no dive. Well, all the diving finals so far have just had, if you'll excuse the pun, a bit of a twist in them. 5 of 5 short but unpredictable rounds. And Ukraine in the bronze medal position, can they hold it together? Here we go again. They're just not producing the goods. It's not all right on the night for one or two of these.
It really is a question of endurance as well as ability and skill. Some of these girls already competed in 2 days of challenging competition.
Bit of face saving required for the British duo who collapsed in the last dive. Come on, girls, let's show what you're made of. Will be going through his mind. 2.7 in with 2.5 somersault. It can only get better.
And how much better does it get? That is proof that these girls should be up there fighting for the medals. It was just such an unlucky disaster on that fourth round for poor Millie Hafferty.
It's all about consistency and delivering over the full program, not just a couple of good dives and a disaster. You've got to make sure you keep that scoreboard moving. Good recovery though. Italy down in 8th, Catalano, Gonzaga and Granelli. good encouragement from the crowd, and maybe a better flourish to finish. .76. Polish duo trying to improve on their 7th position.
Swiatek finished 8th in the individual, and I'm sure it would be a good, positive result if she can finish a little bit higher in this synchronized event.
Croatia 5th, Boric and Tomiak, concluding with the back 2.5 somersault worth 2.8. At least they've kept on track so far. Not that time, I'm afraid.
It really is obvious when divers get it wrong on entry. That's something that viewers at home can really spot. And obviously the judges with their honed eyes will be spotting other things as well, but that is not a strong execution.
Now, this is the moment for the German girls, Oettinghaus and Stauczynski, in gold medal position and diving now to clinch 1st place. Back 2.5 somersault, 2.8. You know, if it's made in Germany, it doesn't go wrong very often. Have they produced the consistency to win the big prize?
They've been consistently moving up the leaderboard. Have they managed to maintain that gold medal position?
Big smiles again. Stick to the cliches, classic German efficiency. Good work. Bath and Kokus from Switzerland.
The pressure really showing, but also the fatigue and concentration needed, not only to think about your own dive, but to be consistent enough so that it's exactly the same speed as your competitors, your fellow teammate.
Russia now trying to keep in that medal position. They've gone through it a little bit, not really hit the heights. Have they hit the standard to make sure they get a medal?
Well, the difficulty of their dive 0.2 higher than the Germans, the score that they are chasing.
Into second place again with a solid final effort.
And I think the Germans have added up the scores and might be expecting to stand on top of the podium.
Just the picture to be completed. Belarus were in a strong position. Not as strong as Germany. Austria now, back 1.5 somersault, half a twist. It's a modest 2.0 to finish, but it looked as though it was decently done. To complete their programme. And completing the competition, Belarus. They were just out of the medal frame. Just a 2.4 degree of difficulty here for Banchik and Sheshka. Ukraine in third at the moment.
Have they done enough? They've put in enough effort. Nothing left behind in this dive. It's up to the judges to make that decision.
Well, they stay in fourth place, although it was a brave effort in the end, and they at least seem pleased with their performance. They held it together, and at least with a lower tariff series reflected their strength. Big hugs, big celebrations, big gold medals for the German team.
We saw Stavczynski win her silver medal in the individual 1 meter, and there was a lot of hugs going on in the German team after that. So now they're on top of the podium. I think we're going to see quite a bit more.
The German team cruised down the motorway and into the lead. A performance of showroom condition. Russia still comes up with the silver. Ukraine is on the podium with a bronze. Belarus pushed them, but it'll be the British girls up into ninth who will be